The following is a presentation of Team Bonding, providing more than 100 live, virtual, or hybrid corporate team building activities for companies around the world. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now.
Hello again, team. It's me, Rich Riddensland, which means you must be listening to your all-new favorite podcast, Team Building Around the World. The podcast where I speak to people from the team building, team bonding industry from all over the globe. And today, I have with us all the way from Mexico, Gabriel Quijano. He's a wonderful man that I'm sure you're going to enjoy. But of course, before we get to Gabo, let me take a second here and throw some love out there to my supporters. The show is supported by the Catalyst Team Building Network. Find out more about the world's largest network of team building providers at catalystglobal.com. We also want to thank our friends at B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. Visit b1g1.com to get started. And now back in 2015, Catalyst Global actually invited its Mexican partners, including my new friend, Gabriel Quijano. Ladies and gentlemen, please give him a huge round of applause. That's just a small group of people I keep trapped under my desk, Gabo. They applaud when I tell them to, and I give them small scraps.
Lucky guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us. So please tell my audience, as they're trying to learn quickly who you are, a little bit about yourself.
Perfect. So yeah, as you properly mentioned, I have the honor to be invited to be part of the family of Catalyst around the world and the network. And open the business in Mexico in 2015. It's a very interesting turn of things because I was living in the Middle East when all this happened. I was living in Qatar. And because I was an expat for 10 years, moving around companies in the FMCG world with a very strong background on sales and distribution. I've sold a little bit of everything, from chocolates, pet food, cereals, chips, energy drinks, whatever you name it. Most probably, I've put it on a shelf.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's been very interesting. Since that, I developed this taste and this pleasure of being part of the people development area of the corporate world. And you will laugh about it. It was in Dubai when I had the chance to be part of a Catalyst event as a participant, and together with my wife, and she was working in a boutique event company. We spoke about it, and actually she found Catalyst, and she pushed me to make contact with Catalyst and start asking questions about taking the business to Mexico. So that's a little bit. 10 years as an expat, 15 years of FMCG sales experience, and a big passion for people development. And I ended up with a team building business in Mexico.
So how did that begin for you? I mean, what was it like just burgeoning into this market in Mexico?
Well, I'm originally from Mexico, born and raised in Monterrey. So after 10 years outside, we went from Hungary to Qatar to Dubai to Kuwait to Oman. We moved all over, and we always knew that we wanted to come back and we found in this industry a way of giving something back to the corporate world that had given so much to us. And just to give a little bit more background, when my first move was to Hungary in Budapest, and I was in a role where I had to be develop and facilitate trainings for the field force, for the sales teams. So it was, in a way, it was in the blood. It was not that hard to transition to the business. However, it was really hard to manage a business so far away for almost 3 years. We recently came back to Mexico to focus 100% on Catalyst and on the team building business.
Okay.
So the transition was smooth, but the operation was a little bit hard, to be honest.
Well, how so?
Well, managing a business with a 8-9 hour different time zone difference made it very complicated. So I kept making fun of myself because I kept telling the family during the day I sell consuming goods, and during the night we develop and we sell team buildings. So we set up a whole team, we set up a business structure, we set up a business model from distance and not being physically in Mexico. And there was a lot of learnings in the process from being your corporate employee to being an entrepreneur. on a completely new business that you had only done it from inside the client side. Now you were the actual service provider. So it was a very interesting process, to be honest. 3-4 years later, we decided to pack our things and continue with the original plan, which was to come back to Mexico and focus on the catalyst business.
Well, what was Mexico like when you were trying to get this off the ground? I mean, did they even have a team building industry? What was it? What were you facing, and by way of competitors?
Very good question. And it's what I'm about to say might come up during our conversation more than once.
Okay.
Mexico, it is still, when it comes to the corporate world, and even outside the corporate world, it's still a quite hierarchical culture. Okay. So depending on the company and how developed they are, you can still find a lot of the yes boss culture. Okay.
Gotcha.
And at the beginning, it was very hard, especially to break the barriers of the medium and small business of the country, which is the majority. It's not hard to the big corporates and the big multinationals to come and knock our doors, but it's harder to go to those other level of businesses. So it took a little bit of time to let people understand that there is more than just having fun. When we started our operations, it was very common to hear companies of real big companies and real size companies saying, look, this is very expensive when I compare it to last year's barbecue and pool party. Why are we going to do this? I just go and buy cans of beers and barbecue and the pool, and we're going to have fun, and that's it. It took us good 3 to 5 years to start having a different dialogue with the companies and with the clients.
Well, let's talk a little bit, because there's probably not a lot of people in my audience right now who will understand that whole yes boss mentality, or not the way that you're describing it. When you say it's hierarchical, you mean it's more focused on top-down thinking, meaning that the boss is in charge of everything and everybody else just does whatever they want.
Yes, thank you for putting the right words into it.
Oh, sure.
It is like that. It is like that. Having the openness and the freedom to challenge upwards might be very different to other regions, like, for example, in Europe or even in Middle East. I haven't worked in the US, so I wouldn't be able to give an opinion, but it's very different to open the dialogue and to challenge upwards.
Well, let me give an example here. Say I'm one of those bosses. Explain to me why I should be doing things differently.
Why you should be doing things different?
Yeah.
Well, definitely, when you bring new talent into an organization, when you bring new way of thinking and a younger opinion, definitely there is value in hearing different points of views. And we can call it many areas or fields of the business, call it sales, call it logistics, call it production. The way things been done forever doesn't mean that is the only right way of doing things.
Right.
So there's always room for improvement. Doesn't matter where and from who it comes.
Great. So now tell me a little bit about you. You say you're married, and you were in sales before you decided to get into this, which is really, when you think about it, it's a new way of doing sales, right?
Yes, completely.
So you're selling an idea. You're selling not only the motivational things, you're not only the events themselves, but you're selling the new way of doing it.
Correct.
What is it about you that even makes you want to tackle that sort of thing? What made you think team bonding, that's someplace I want to go?
Okay. Let me tell you, for example, you made a really good question just a second ago about how do you put a new idea? How do you challenge upwards? And this is something that I really believe that with team buildings, you're able to do, because you create a safe environment of encouraging people, team members, associates in organizations to speak up, to give their opinion. And sometimes it's very interesting. I've seen this before. Let's call any example. We're having our team building where you construct F1 carton cars, and all of a sudden you see someone from the plant, from the production team, challenging a senior manager in his team, saying, listen, that's not how you should be cutting. And at that moment, challenging something so simple doesn't mean anything. But it gave him the freedom to speak up and to give an opinion that probably it will be taken forward. When we sell an idea about team buildings to our clients, we always tell them it's not an immediate impact. It's not something that you will be able to measure it with more sales, with more products produced. It's the impact that it has going forward the day after the team building, and the coming days and the coming time. And that's more or less how we like to focus when we approach clients.
Okay. What kind of impacts do you tell them that they can get? Because I'm sure someone, especially in that kind of marketplace, they're thinking, well, if I'm not going to see anything from this, why should I even bother to do it?
No, the thing is, you can see it. You definitely can see it.
Like what?
Like, for example, Mexico is a market that multinationals are very used to bring talent from other Latin American regions.
Okay.
Venezuela, Brazil, this and that. And there is always the initial communication curve of adapting with local talent, with the imported talent. And it's very interesting. And this is a brief that we get very common from big companies like, listen, I got a new director coming from Brazil. Communication needs to get better very quickly. And then we start talking about, that's a very easy kind of measuring an impact, right?
Great.
It didn't produce more, it didn't sell more, but it had a very positive impact within the team. And you get the callbacks and you get the feedback in the coming weeks. Or this specific topic that was brought up during the closing session of the team building, we can see an effect in the real life, in the day-to-day office. And these are the kind of things.
Yeah, I also see a lot of when I'm out there, because I'm on the facilitator side, meaning I'm one of the ones in the field running the events in front of clients. And I get a lot of them saying, okay, at the end, what good was all of this?
Yeah.
And trying to explain to them that, well, you just talked to somebody for over an hour that you haven't really spoken to in a long time. It's sort of like when I get together and they're breaking down into teams, I'm like, don't break departments in with the same people they always talk to.
Yeah.
Spread them out.
Yeah. This is why we need to be very smart when we put together the teams, right? As facilitators.
Yep. Make
sure we don't put the people that only talk to each other all day long.
So, what is it about team bonding or team building rather that is essential to your country?
There's two things that I always tell clients. First of all is the credentials, right? The credentials that we have as a network when being approached by clients are amazing, right? Whenever we have a client approaching us and asking for this and that, we have so many points of references around the world between partners, between the network, that we can put on the table and build that confidence and trust from the clients to us. And that adds a lot of value. And secondly, the portfolio of options and events that we have is just so wide that it approaches so many briefs, so many points, so many things that an organization would like to approach that we can offer that kind of things to them. So I think we are always a step ahead when it comes to the level of quality and quantity of events that we have, and the network and the credentials to build trust with our clients.
Very well put. Gabo, bear with me just one quick second. I need to step away from you for a bit and go and pay some bills, as they say on this side. So hold on one second for me. And let me take a break and tell my team a moment about Catalyst Team Building Network, an association of team building providers. With representatives in over 90 countries speaking more than 20 languages, the Catalyst Network is widely regarded as the voice of the team building industry. Network members share resources, best practices, and business opportunities. Catalyst partners are learning from each other and pushing the boundaries of what is possible in team building. Catalyst Network members share a common goal of creating highly relevant, socially responsible, good-valued experiences for their clients. For more information, please visit catalystglobal.com. The Catalyst Global Team Building Network, the world's largest network of team building providers. All right, my friend, I'm back. So let's talk about that first experience again. What was the event that you and your wife went to?
Well, it was separate.
Okay.
I was in Dubai, and I was working for British American Tobacco, BAT, a global company in the world of tobacco. And actually, I started with them in Mexico, and they were the ones who exported me to Hungary, and then they moved me to the Middle East.
Okay.
And we had our flat out Formula One event is probably one of my favorites. I'm a big fan of F1. And BAT organized this sales event of the F1 event on the Jazz Formula One track in Abu Dhabi. Okay. Oh. And literally, we were building the F1 cars of the team building over the pit stops of the real Formula One track.
That's amazing.
Imagine that. Imagine you're there on the actual concrete where the F1 car comes and the teams are entering the pits. And while you're building a carton car, these guys are doing the real thing. And then you turn up and you can see the Jazz Hotel, which runs over the track. So it was such an amazing memory, Richard, that it really impacted me forever. And from that moment on, I wanted to know who was the company that offered that team event.
Right.
And I came back and I told my wife, we were living in Qatar, but the event took place in Abu Dhabi. Mm-hmm. And I go back to Qatar and I told my wife about this amazing event that I was part of it. And we talk about it. And imagine that years later, we moved to Dubai.
Yeah.
And my wife starts working with a company that organizes corporate events. And this company hires our partner in Dubai, the Catalyst partner in Dubai. So that was a way of closing the circle. And my wife comes out and she says, listen, I finally found out who they are. Do you want to check them out? And then the rest is history. Here we are with them.
That's nicely done. Now, almost like it was meant to be for you.
Yes,
but
yes.
Just so my audience knows, what is it that you do with these cardboard cars once you have them built?
Okay, so you build teams. You build almost a real size Formula One car out of cardboard, and then every team we will line them up. It's a very nice team building because it has a lot of collaboration between teams when building, and it has a small taste of competition, right? Of this healthy competition, because at the end we will line them up. And a driver will jump inside the car, and 2 or 3 pushers, people, will be pushing each of the cars to the finish line. And it's really fun. It's really, really fun because then quality plays a big part. Whoever will build the car with the highest quality possible will make it to the end. Doesn't mean that they will end, but they will make it. Right. Whoever did not put a lot of attention to details will not make it. Their car will be dismantling on the middle of the track and flying all over the place.
How'd you do? How did your team do that first time?
We did well. We did really well. We had a I don't know, I remember third place.
Very nice.
20 cars, Richard. We were built that day, I remember.
Awesome. I love that. I love that event. That is an exciting event to be a part of.
It is a very nice one.
Now, speaking of cars and events, I do want to actually switch gears for a quick second. See what I did? That's called a segue. Let's talk about charity work. What kind of charities do you folks have down there in Mexico?
It's a very interesting topic. We are part, because when you started the program, you mentioned B1, Give One.
Right, B1, G1, yep.
Yep. We are part of it. We are part of B1, G1 since 2016, if I'm correct.
Okay.
And we have this internal guideline approach that whenever we sell an event, we give something back to B1, G1. There's not a fixed amount. We just we decide how much we give, and it's just a way of giving back. There is something that it's on the works, and it's been on the works for more than a year, I have approached B1, G1. We would like to have a project that is from Mexico. If you know how B1, G1 works, you have projects all over the world, and you decide where to give back something, and it can be on education, it can be on health, it can be on business development, it can be a shelter, different projects, but none of them are in Mexico, unfortunately. So we've been working on something with B1, G1 people. Hopefully we get something soon, and that's from one of the sides. From the other one, as you will now know, team bonding, we have a good amount of social responsibility events. Okay.
Yep.
There's an issue in that we are in we want to do more. Where we want to get it right. It comes to trust. Big companies, they don't want to give to the big organizations, of the big social organizations.
Okay.
And the small ones, they want to trust the independent social organizations. So you won't believe it. It's not easy for us to find a good click between client and organizations.
So you're saying they're looking for more of a local impact, something that they can definitely see.
Yes, that's it. The ones that are very formal, very big, that have been there for a very long time.
Right.
Companies don't want to be associated with them. They want to be associated with the upcoming ones. Okay. Getting an approach with the upcoming ones is not very easy because of the different situations that our country is going through in terms of trust, in terms of transparency, in terms of security. So it is not very easy. We do something. We found two of them that we have partnered up for the Building a Dream event, which is the one that teams will build bikes and they donate.
Okay.
So far, that's what we have been doing. We have a long way on this one specifically, Richard. We need to get better.
Well, thankfully, you're trying to get there. You should be very proud just for even attempting it, because I mean, seems to be so easy in the world today to put aside thinking about other people and just think about yourself. So I applaud you even for doing that much.
Thank you, definitely. I think it's one of those things that us, Team Bonding, Catalyst, and all of us as a network is really in our DNA. When we have our calls, when we have our meetings, it always comes up, and we really feel proud of it, and we all do, and we all try to do a little bit more at our own pace. But as you said, the idea is never to forget about it. Just keep it there and keep it running.
Fantastic. And with that in mind, Gabo, give me one more minute while I take time to tell my team all about B1G1, which can make your business a real force for good. When you're part of B1G1, you bring new purpose, meaning, and relevance to your business by making giving a core of what you do. Unlike conventional giving models, B1G1 helps small and medium-sized businesses achieve more social impact by embedding giving activities in their everyday business operations to create unique giving stories. Every business transaction can impact lives from as little as just 1 cent. So please visit b1g1.com to get started. B1G1, business for good. All right, my friend, let's have some fun. Can you give me your favorite memory of an event that you've either led or been a part of?
I will. It's a funny one.
Good.
So just like you, Richard, I also facilitate many of the team buildings that we organize, of the events. And I don't know if you're familiar, but I will explain you that we have an event called the Domino Effect, which is basically... I've
heard something like it. So go ahead and give me your definition.
It's amazing. It's one of my favorites. It's a very simple event but with a lot of takeouts, where teams will build a domino rally. Okay, a domino effect. And I was facilitating, and we've been more than an hour into the event, and we're all having a good time. Teams were really into it, and interesting enough, there were like 7 teams, and out of their own, they decided, instead of having 7 domino rallies, they wanted to have a really big one.
That's just fantastic.
And this is something that we didn't tell them, we didn't ask them. They just came from them, and they decided to do it. So it was, wow, everything was going amazing. And I'm walking around the room, and as I said, we were more than an hour into the event. And I'm walking around the teams, and I'm giving them a good word, like, you're doing amazing. Why don't you change this? Why don't you think of adding this? And
Right.
And then I take a turn, and you won't believe it, I step on one of the domino rallies.
Oh, no.
And I just destroyed, and they were finished. It was one of the teams who had finished earlier. Oh, Richard, I remember their eyes at me. They wanted to, so they were like kicking me out of the event. So it was a very funny one. And it's interesting because after that day, whenever I facilitated specifically Domino Effect event, I always tell the audience this story, and it acted like an icebreaker, and everybody has a good laugh, and I promise them that I will be careful. So it's a memory that I will remember forever.
Oh my! Well, yeah, I don't think they'd forget that one either anytime soon.
I'm sure they didn't.
No, I love those. I love those events because the one thing, anybody out there who's listening to us who don't actually take part in these kinds of events and are just listening to see what this kind of podcast is about before deciding whether or not they love it, which they will, by the way. But when teams go from being that ultra competitive, my team's better than your team, here's why we're going to win and you're going to lose. When they go from that mentality to then suddenly deciding they're all going to work together, that is actually a brilliant way to be. And it always surprises me in the most pleasant way.
Yes, it does. And this is what I mean. I mean, there is always a takeout on, even if it's not as measurable as sales increasing. There is always something to build on what you observe, on what teams live, on what they went through, on simple things or on conversations while having a team building.
Right. Exactly right. So, you were talking about icebreakers a minute ago. For those who don't know, an icebreaker is usually just a quick game that we play to get people to know each other. What are some of your favorites, Gabo?
My favorite is one that I recently started using, and it's a funny story because a long time ago during one of the trainings as a sales team member, they put a video to us about, let me just think of the word, about theater that you don't plan. How do you call it? Theater that you go on the go. You start building the lines as you...
Improvisation. Improv.
Theater. Or is that the right way of saying it?
Yep.
In this kind of theater, which is amazing, they use a line that is called yes and. And I don't know if you're about it, but it's a very interesting way of buying a second and really thinking of what you want to say. So it stick to my head, and it's been forever since I saw the video for the first time, and I say, well, why don't I still with pride this idea and I turn it into an icebreaker? And so now many times where I have an audience and we're about to start team building, we play the yes and improvisation game. And basically it's about going, when it's a small team, going one by one of the participants and ask them to build upon their expectations of the team building or what they are thinking about or how would they like to check in before going into the big event. So I normally start and I say, look, we're here gathered together. We're going to have an amazing team. And I'm really looking forward for the funny moments of today. And then I turn into my eyes into one of the participants, and she has to say yes and she builds above what I said. And it's really interesting because then you start setting expectations. You know what they're looking for. You know what they want to take out of this event, because they will start sharing things like yes and I hope to meet new people. Great. And then you got an input. You got something to take from the team building and what they're expecting from the team building. So it's very interesting. It's a simple thing that I created, but it really works.
And it's always fun when you get towards the end and those people, unfortunately, at the end of that chain going, everybody picked what I was going to say, so they have to come up with something brand new.
It is really interesting because when you get to that part, all of the sudden, one of the last ones will say, yes, and I agree with everything you said, and I'm looking for the dinner at night where we're going to have a great fun. And okay, that's part of the communication. That's part of the game. So I love it. I really,
that's
really
great.
Like it.
Here in the States, we're, of course, still sheltering in place, battling COVID-19. What's that like with you down in Mexico?
Pretty much the same, Richard. Really much shut down since March. No physical team building, no events, nothing like that. Slowly, since the 1st of June, the country, at the state level and federal level, we tried to come back, but it's not looking very promising. We're going to have to take a step back as a society and probably go slower.
How are you tackling that on the business side?
It's been tough, Richard. We, as a benefit and the blessing of being part of this great network that we are, of the biggest team building company in the world, and as a network, we very fast in developing online experiences. Great. How do we make our face-to-face events into a virtual world? And I think we've been very good at it. I think in Mexico specifically, since we are still in the process of adapting team buildings as a very common thing, as a developed industry, I think it's going to take longer to jump from physical to online, and the appetite, it hasn't been as fast as in other markets, to be honest and fair. I think it's been tough. Everywhere it's been tough, but here you add up all different things, different elements, as in how mature the team building industry it is, right? And then it will have an impact.
I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, good luck to you. But it is good on a positive note that you're a part of this Catalyst network where you can reach out and ask for advice or ask for help or even ask for new events?
Yes. And look, we are very confident that multinationals have been approaching. There's been a lot of development, a lot of conversation with clients, repeat purchases and new clients. I think it's just a matter of timing when we break through and things will pop up. Now, we had an amazing 2019, very good new clients coming aboard. We had a really good first 2 months of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So keeping the positive side of it and looking at the best of it, we're very confident that teams will need to reunite, will need to strengthen their bonds. And we're sure that all of us, we will be there for them and we will be part of this development as human beings and as teams. We will put our efforts to help out and to be part of that process.
Fantastic. Gabo, I cannot tell you how much I've enjoyed talking to you. You're absolutely amazing, and I love the enthusiasm. It just sounds like whatever problems you're having right now, especially with your sales background, it's simply about selling this idea of changing things up a bit to those clients. And I think you've got what it takes to get yourself there.
Thank you very much, Richard. It's keeping things positive, being patient. I think we all need to take a step back and be patient, but be active at the same time. And we will get there. We will all do. And hand in hand, we have an amazing network. And we're always here to support each other and support our clients and the companies who will be going through this process. We will do it with them.
Thank you, my friend. But now we're going to actually put you a little bit on the hot seat here, especially as a facilitator, somebody who's put people through these what could to them be very traumatizing events when they start. I'm going to actually put you on the hot seat because it's time for our speed round. Now, to explain to everybody what this is, for 60 seconds, I'm going to ask Gabo here a series of questions, and he's going to answer as quickly as he can. The point, of course, being be quick, have fun, and enjoy yourself. Think you're ready?
Ready.
All right, my friend, hold on, and here we go. What is your name?
Gabriel Quijano. El Gabo.
What is your favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have 2 Great Danes.
If you could ask one of your Great Danes any questions, what would it be?
Why are you so clumsy?
What's the most courageous thing you've ever done?
The most precious thing I ever done. Packing my bags and leaving home to a country that I had never been.
Fantastic. Now, in the movie of your life, who would you like to play you?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Who's your favorite sports star?
Joe Montana.
Okay. Oh, Joe Montana. Fantastic. All right. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, my team out there, please give a big round of applause to Gabriel Quijano. Gabo, thank you so very much for being with us. I cannot tell you how wonderful it has actually been talking to you. And for you out there, my team, thank you so much for listening to Team Building Around the World. If you like this show, please share it with a friend or a colleague, and we'd be grateful if you would subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you find your favorite podcasts, and leave us a favorable review. If you didn't like today's show, just shut up about it. It's fine. All past episodes can be found at teambonding.com. But that's going to be it for me, my friends. I have been Rich Riddensland, and if you are within the sound of my voice, always remember you're on my team, and I'm on yours. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time.
It's been said that you learn more about a person in an hour of play than in a year of conversation. So why not put your coworkers to play with the help of the team at Team Bonding? Team Bonding was founded over 20 years ago with one simple question. How can employees have a great time while fostering strong, authentic bonds between people who work together? Their catalog of innovative events includes scavenger hunts, Jeopardy, and much more. Each activity, whether live, virtual, or hybrid, maximizes the impact of team building with an accent on fun. Visit teambonding.com to schedule your event now. Team Bonding, when you want seriously fun results.